Hey everyone, this is Jerry Gray again. I hope everyone is well. I decided to come in and do another short video, hopefully short, for you guys so we can see the difference between local value between our cup and also the sphere that's white. Our cup is black. So this video might not be doing as much talking, but I do kind of want to see my progress and process, and hopefully you guys, you can kind of get a full-on video of me from beginning to end actually drawing and rendering out the sphere and utilizing light logic and shadow, light and shadow, things of that nature. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So I want to, although I did a very light separation, I want to come back in and still separate. I don't know if you guys can see, I kind of erased out a little bit of my shadow edge and kind of made it in kind of an implied line or kind of dashes. I don't know if you guys can see those dashes, but that's what I decided to do because really I don't want to have a sharp edge there. I really want to allow my edges to be able to be soft or firm, especially that shadow edge is a very important edge that I want to make sure I keep in mind to not have sharp edges for that. So if you hear me kind of get quiet and sometimes during this video is because I'm kind of paying attention and I'm thinking as well. But I also want to make sure I'm blocking out my cast shadow as well. I really want to make sure it's a clear separation of light part and dark part. Or light mass and dark mass, however you want to put it. It's a lot of vocab in art that's all different but means all the same thing. Just like the English language. Crazy. So now that I have that in, and you guys, I'm actually using my Tombow. I'm using an HB, hopefully you guys can see that. To kind of start with, I'm going to use a short amount of ranges of pencils. I am going to use Bs, but I'll probably go into 2B. Maybe some 4Bs, maybe in the shadow, because my shadow is actually a lot darker. But I'm going to start with HB, then I'll probably move into some of my H's when I get to my midtones. So now that I have that, I want to get a note in for my core, and I'm still using hatching marks, but I kind of want to come in and get the actual shape of the core that I'm seeing. I want to see if it's contracting, expanding, which in this area is very expanded in this area. Or expanding. I don't know if expanded is a word. Sure, get your vocabulary together. So I do see in this area that it is expanding. I'm gonna come in just a little bit darker. And another hatching line over. I'm not too worried about some of these lines. I might erase some of these darker kind of hatch lines out and build back up in there. Then I also see that it contracts in this area. And it contracts in this area as well. So I'm making notes for myself right now. So when I go in darker, I have the notes for where things are contracting. So there's another area that's down here that gets a little bit dark as well. And then there's this kind of oval area where I see reflected light. So I'm going to darken up this side. So I'm still just mapping things out very lightly right now. I don't want to go too dark because this is a white sphere. So now that I have that in, I have some notes in, I know where my reflected light is. Some more of this kind of oval shape that's here. Erase this line out. Now I kind of want to get, if I can, I want to get in some blocking for some midtones. So I'm switching over to my H pencil. Let me see. Hopefully you guys can see that. And then I'm just going to come in with an overall. And then here I'm trying to get in some 3s and possibly some 2s. I'm squinting down at the object just to see where my value 1 is and where my value 2 is. That little halo that's around the highlight. And right now I just want to build and build. I'm using the side of my pencil just a bit to get some of these white areas covered. Just dragging my pencil and building my midtones and getting kind of an overall like local value. I think I'm probably at a 2 right now. I I did mark where my highlight is going to be. So I might come in and just lighten up my line for that highlight. So now that I have that and I kind of got an idea where my 2 is, I kind of got maybe possibly a 4 or 3 and 4 in the shadow. So this shadow is going to get a little bit darker. So I do want to switch over and kind of work in my cow shadow. So I'm switching over to my 2B, and this is my Tombow 2B. In Tombow, I'm noticing just with kind of working with it, that it stays rather gray. Even when you get into those Bs, it doesn't get really extremely dark. It stays really, really into the grays. And my shadow, what I'm looking at, is really dark, but I kind of don't, I want to think about the logic. I don't want to make it too dark or too sharp. So I'm going to think about the logic of it just a little bit. Use a little artistic license. Sometimes drawing is about what you know, but at least 90% of the time or 95% of the time, it's what you actually see. That's what drawing is about, especially from observation. So now I can get in and kind of get some darker areas in this pit that I'm seeing. And I'm going to do my best to have some smooth transitions. Still thinking about edges. And now I'm going to have a sharper edge closer to the form, closer to that sphere. I might extend this a little bit sharper or firmer. And what I can do is just get more of a layer. I can kind of blend some of this down. So this is a sponge kind of stick that's on a palette knife. That's what it looks like. But most of the time this is used for like pastels, to blend or smudge. So I'm just gonna smudge in just a bit just to soften some of this, and probably smudge in this area as well, just to get some of this just a little bit smudged out. But I'm gonna come back in with my hatchet line. That's very, very important. So I'm gonna hide some of that white that's shining through from my hatching marks. I'm leaving that reflector light there just a little bit. It's gonna get darker and I'm gonna have to kick it down just a bit too. Get some of that edge, some lost kind of edges that's happening. So I don't really talk about smudging or blending much, especially I tell my students don't blend with your finger. I'd rather not see it at all. Stumps I'm not a fan of. I do like these sponges or using brushes. I'm okay with that. You know, I don't mind my students using that. But I'm just not a fan of smudging that much because most students, fairly young and young artists, tend to use it everywhere. And they don't realize that they're flattening out their drawing when they're doing it. So if you're going to use it lightly, doing any type of smudging, and then come over with your hatching lines, to not lose the form of your actual drawing or the object you're drawing. So I switched over to a 4B because I want to get a lot darker in this area. And like I said, this is probably where my 8s and my 9s are going to be. There's that area that's here that's quite light, but I'm going to make it a little bit darker. So I'm going to go ahead and leave a cast shadow B as for right now. I kind of want to move on to something else. But this is giving me a little bit of idea of what I'm actually seeing. So now that I have that in, I kind of get a good feel for my cast shadow. Now I want to come in and get that core in. I like to really work in my dark mask. I think that's a painterly. Start with your darks and then you move to your lights. I do that even in drawing. Still trying to pay attention and see where is it compassion, where it is expanding or contracting. I don't know why I got compassion. Expanding or contracting when it comes to that core. And as you can see, I'm kind of rotating my hatching lines as well as my pencil. Remember, I have a reflected light that's in this area, and I have a little area that's here where it gets a little bit dark as well. So now that I have that in, I do need to get a little bit darker in some areas, but right now I want to come in and just come in with a shade darker for this area. I'm going overall, just one shade darker. So my reflected light is going to get darker as well. Right now, I'm just trying to preserve it just a bit. Right now I'm kind of trying to build up my bridge just a little bit. I'm using a little bit of rounding, round strokes. I'm going to soften it just a bit for transitions. Alright, so now I also want to get just a little bit darker. So I'm squinting down and I can get in some darker areas. Squinting down at my actual object so I can get in some darker areas in the shadow. So I'm still going to use this, and I'm going to come over with just another shade because I'm squinted down, I'm looking at it, and I feel like my sphere needs to be a little bit darker in some of these areas. Still going to preserve my reflective light for right now. I'm using some rounded strokes again just to kind of blend some things out and soften some things. Alright, so now that I got that in, I'm squinting down. There's more areas that needs to get darker, so I'm going to switch over to a darker Tombow pencil, which is kind of crazy because that shows how gray Tombow pencils are. So you can see, dun dun dun, I'm switching over to my 6B. Normally you don't do that with a light object, but I just kind of want to get in some darker areas. In some areas where that shadow edge is just a little firm. Crazy reflection of light that's hitting in this area that's coming from this. I'm not sure if I want to put that in, but I probably will just a little bit. Down here it gets a lot darker and some firmer lines in this area. Erase out just a little bit on this side, although this needs to be darker. Oh, a little bit lighter, but I'm gonna erase that out just a bit for right now. Always put it back in. Whenever you erase out, you can always put it in later. So now that I have that, and I think squinting down. I'm gonna kind of come in and get this a little bit darker. Get into some of those fours that's in this area. Now that I have that in, darker pencil. This out just a bit. See, I'm going back over that blend with Pencil Works. Excuse the noise, you guys. There's a truck that's going by my window. I kind of came in, as you can see, I'm watching my edges. I want this to be a little bit darker here, a little bit sharper. It's a lot darker in this area. Edges here. I'm coming in and erasing this out. You can really see how sharp that is. Some wobbly lines happening. It happens to me too. I get wobbly lines. Alright, so now that I have that in, I'm going to switch back over possibly to an HB. Get some of these lines a little bit darker. Also, a little bit of simultaneous contrast is happening around the sphere. So this shadow is a lot darker than the sphere. Also, I'm gonna switch back over to my HB because I want to get this a little bit on the darker side. highlight just a bit. Around it, I mean, not the highlight, just darkening around it. So I'm pulling from my background and pulling that into my sphere where this cast shadow is for that cut. Go ahead and make sure I'm lightening that up a bit. I think I'm gonna switch over to a harder pencil. So I'm switching over to an H. You guys can see. I kind of want that graphite to spread around. So an H pencil is not going to allow me to get really dark. You can layer, 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 and it's just not going to get that dark. You don't want to grind the pencil into the paper, because then you get really bad groove lines, and you don't want that. So it's more so slowly just kind of dragging it around and allowing it to build. I'm gonna go back into what's happening on this side. I really want to focus on what's happening around the sphere as well. Now what I want to do is I kind of want to go back into reflected light, because if I squint down and look at it, you guys probably see that this is very, very light in comparison to my darkest mid-tones that are here. So I need to kick it down a lot. And darkening that reflected light. I can always darken around it where my core is, so I can pop back out. Go back into my core just a bit. I have switch pencils. I'm back to that kind of random 6B, that Tombow that's very gray. still paying attention to where this core contracts, expands, contracts, expands. You want to pay attention to all of those things. I am bringing some of my background, this cast shadow, into the sphere, but I'm doing that because I kind of want to eliminate some light, some lines, not some light, some lines. I don't want to have too much of these hard lines. I want them to kind of disappear. Because in reality, we don't see lines. Man just uses lines to describe what they're seeing. Alright, I do want to get my midtones area a little bit darker now. Not too dark. Still want to describe I have a white sphere. Bring in some of that background into it so I can eliminate some lines. Kind of wrapping with the form the best that I can. I want to start to get some of these lines kind of closer together. Not too much white showing. Go ahead and take out some more. Want that white of that paper. Don't need that to highlight that white, but just wanted to kind of bring it back in. So I'm gonna squinting down, and still feel like the light is too light. Trying to eliminate some of these lines. It would disappear if I came in with the actual local value of my table, but I don't have enough time to do that. I might take some time off to do it. Alright guys, so as you can see, the sphere is just about done. I'm gonna come in and get that a little bit more out of the edge. But if you notice, this is kind of what my point is with my students. I'm trying to drag the idea, and I want my students to pay attention to the local values. So as you can see, it's funny because I've been saying I need to go over just one more little thing that's here. But as you can see, there's a black cup that is here, and then you have a white sphere that's next to it. So I want you guys to pay attention to the local value. Drawing something that's really, really dark and rendering something that's dark and checking out what local value it is, and something that's light as a white sphere. And I probably got a little bit too dark in my sphere, but you still get the idea that that sphere is lighter than the actual cup, and that's really what I want my students to know and to see. So although this sphere is probably not as finished as I want it to be, it's close. You get to see my steps and where I'm trying to take it. But I hope this helps you guys. I hope it really does. But I enjoy doing this fair, and I enjoy doing this actual video. So the one thing that I do want you guys to pay attention to, and I hope you took out the time to look at this video, and I hope it helps, but really just think about light and shade, local value, as well as I want you guys to think about light logic. How does light hit? Where is it hitting? Where's your shadow edge? Where is the cast shadow? what are my my values, how I distribute that into something that has a light local value. Think of your midtones, think of your actual highlight and where that's at. So this is something that I want you guys to pay attention to. Look at my edges. I'm not coming in with a hard edge, but I know I see some firm edges, some lost edges in that shadow. Look at my core. I have it where it's expanding, contracting, expanding, contracts. There's darker areas. This actually can get a lot darker, but I do want to at least pay attention to what's happening in that cast shadow. That's what's important. And I probably will come over with another layer of it. And I swear these Tombows are not that dark. They're very, very gray pencil. But this gives you an idea of how to work out this sphere. So if you have spheres or apples or oranges in your composition, this is the kind of idea you're going to be looking for. So just pay attention to that, and hopefully this helps you guys. And definitely, I just want to say thanks to all of my subscribers. I also want to say thanks to everybody that's been watching my videos. I truly, truly appreciate it. I hope it helps with drawing and also distributing values as well. But I hope you guys have a nice day. I will be posting a new video very soon because our class is going to be starting our portrait assignment. So if you want to get some ideas on how to do a portrait, tune in, subscribe, and hopefully you will learn something new when it comes to that portrait drawing. Have a nice day, you guys. I hope to see you in the next video. So once again, this video is for my TCU students, drawing 1. They're working on a drawing number 10 still life project. It's going to be a fully rendered complete project with light and shade, and I hope to have something soon for you guys to see what my students actually do. I'm trying to get a video together for that so you can see the end product of what my students are doing. Have a nice day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.